Hello, I'm Kimberly Dondo, Digital Content Manager, and welcome to In Conversation With, the podcast series that delves into the world of financial services and brings you face to face with some of the most notable figures in the industry. Listen as we discuss topics that are currently facing the industry and hear from visionary CEOs to disruptive innovators as we bring you a diverse array of voices and perspectives. We'll explore the challenges they faced, the lessons they've learned, and the insights they have to share about the ever-evolving landscape of financial services. Hello and welcome to In Conversation With. I'm Kimberly Dondo, and in today's episode, I'm joined by Madeleine Debney, co-founder at Otto. Thank you for joining me today, Maddie.
Thanks for having me. Thrilled to be here.
So could you give us a bit of a background into yourself and how you got started in financial services?
Yeah, sure. So I spent a large part of my career at Fidelity building digital products. I've always been in the weeds and the trenches around digital engagement, financial literacy, and I saw how hard it is within a large incumbent organization to create sort of radically different customer experiences. During that time, I ran an investment network and community for my friends of friends who couldn't find access to the type of financial care that appealed to them, both cost-wise and the proposition. And I thought, this is crazy. I can see, right, the next generation of wealth users like gaining wealth, getting great jobs, who are highly educated, and just, you know, the existing products and offer falling flat in terms of being applicable to them. And that's really what inspired me to set up Otto, was to bring fresh energy, fresh technology into the wealth space to enable more people to access better quality financial care.
Yeah. So what was that transition like, going from working at Fidelity to then founding Otto? What inspired you to create this company?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I also worked at BCG, the consultancy after Fidelity as well, which are very rigorous. They're amazing places to work, and I would encourage anybody to get experience in those large corporates. But I always had this kind of like scrappiness and energy that was better suited for a startup environment. So to me, it was always clear that I wanted to build my own thing, and I was very much very passionate about effectively what is the advice gap. I spent a while trying to work out the best way of targeting it. There's obviously a big opportunity in PFM, like direct to consumer products. But actually, I thought the real area that you can change is the technology that wealth and that advisors use, because it is pretty legacy technology. I mean, a lot of it was created 30, 20 years ago. There's a lot of opportunity now with AI that can radically improve processes and workflows, create real tangible cost savings from today. And that's really exciting, right? It's a huge space. And the wealth market in the UK is the second biggest in the world after the States. It's 3 trillion investable assets. It's huge. And there's a lot to be done to make the service better.
Mm-hmm. So can you share how Otto acts as an AI-powered co-pilot for wealth managers? And in what ways does it stand out from existing advisor tools?
Yeah, so the whole premise behind Otto is we want to supercharge the advisors, enable them to focus on building client relationships, delivering a great service for their clients. And the way that we do this is the platform has 2 parts. Now, the first part is we actually have a white labeled end client portal, because we believe that this next generation of wealth users have completely different standards in terms of how they want to interact digitally with their wealth advisor. If you're used to banking with Revolut, Monzo, Barclays, and you have these incredible banking experiences, your wealth manager, which could hold a majority of your wealth and significantly more money than in your bank, the experience should be even better. And right now it isn't. So that really what inspired us is, let's create like this next generation incredible client experience for the wealth client. Because we have all these interaction points and we offer that client experience, we're able to really supercharge and help the advisor and basically creating these really scalable client relationships. So on the advisor side, we act as a co-pilot, but you can almost think of it like a digital power planner. We literally have clients, and instead of hiring or replacing a power plan or hiring a new one, they use Otto, because Otto sits next to the advisor and helps the advisor on every step of the client journey. So, for example, if you're onboarding a new client, Otto automates the onboarding process. We send the fact find, we collect that data, we use AI also to populate the data. Client servicing, advisors are going to have to manage more clients. Say on average they have, I don't know, 130, 150. Possibly in 5 years, they're going to have 400, 500 clients, and it's going to look a very different job. How can we help the advisor through that transition? How can we surface, okay, today you need to talk to these 10 clients about these 10 things, and actually we've written the communications for you. The next is around meetings, which is obviously a hugely topical area right now for financial advisors. There's a ton of efficiencies you can immediately gain from using better meeting technology. And we have a AI agent that's a meeting assistant. So we work out scheduling, meeting prep, hosting, summarization, actions, tracking actions, the whole thing, which can bring hours of cost savings per day. And then, of course, we have report generation, which, again, hugely cumbersome process. And I think the tools that are looking at report generation are going on a journey, right? Because there's a lot that you can do around the generation of the reports, but ultimately it falls back onto what data you have. And we have some great, really innovative ways to get the data that you need. But also as an industry, we have to all go on a journey to understand the benefits of connectivity. And speed up processes, for example, the LOA process, and getting those reports back.
Yeah. And many advisors are keen to automate fact finds and suitability reports, which you mentioned earlier. So how does Otto ensure these processes remain accurate and compliant with regulations?
Yeah, so first of all, Otto is never a black box, right? We use the term human in the loop. So first of all, we bring visibility to a lot of these processes. Right now, a lot of these processes are managed by multiple people. Maybe there's a shared Excel that people update status. There's a bit of a black book, right? Whether the client is in the process. We bring complete visibility. It's a bit like a dashboard, right, onto the status of each client, which can be hugely helpful. Also speeds out timelines and SLAs, which is incredibly important for the service that you're delivering for the client. Any AI generation, again, the word human in the loop is important. Like, we use AI to generate these documents and to populate these documents. And the way that we've built our platform is to take the advisor through so they validate this information. I think a lot of the existing advisor platforms aren't built with the mindset of usability. And that is a core part. I mean, any tech startup, right? It's our bread and butter. Like, let's bring incredibly crafted, beautiful SaaS products to the advisor space where they go on, and it's extremely clear where the information comes from, what they need to check and validate. So, for example, we have an AI fact find. You can host your fact finding session on Otto through our meeting scheduling, meeting hosting, meeting summarization. Post your fact find meeting, we take the transcription from the fact find, we actually populate our fact find form, which is configurable. So you can choose what data fields you want. We then take the advisor through the form, each different data field, to ask them to validate, to ensure that they're comfortable with the data. Now, if there's any data that we think is particularly controversial, let's say, or that we're not sure on the accuracy, for example, the postcode doesn't have the right format, we'll highlight that for the advisor to make sure that they look at it with the perspectives of kind of fact checking. So again, it's utilizing this technology, but taking advisors through this user journey where they're completely aware of where the data comes from and when they need to validate and check it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that is helpful just to know that, because, you know, like, I've dabbled with AI, not specifically something that is this specialized for my day-to-day tasks, just because I think there's lots of admin. But I do find that I do need that element of the human in the loop, because you just need to verify and make sure this 100%. Makes sense.
I think if you look in the legal space, which is interesting, right, because there's a lot of similarities between legal and financial.
Yeah, the whole compliance thing, it's like tied together.
Highly skilled, you have lawyers, paralegals, you have advisors, paraplanners. There's a lot of similarities. And Harvey AI is an incredible example of an AI product and tool. They've raised, I think, like 60, 70 million, incredible investors. They are working with all of the Magic Circle law firms. So really, like, they're completely institutionalized, embedded within best practice of law. And for example, the way that they deal with the kind of hallucination risk is they use citations. So any information, so they take legal sort of litigation history and use it to help like craft new cases, and any kind of references are very easily cited. And that's a great example of where you can use this technology, you understand its restraints, but you build a user experience that counteract the risk of those restraints. And that's exactly like the same approach that we have at Otto. I just think it's inspiring for me as a founder to see it so embedded and so well used in a similar industry. Medical is the same. There's a lot of Nabla is a great example. Again, raised a lot of money and being used in hospitals day to day by surgeons. It does it, and actually a lot by clinicians and GPs. It does client prep for the clinician, and then also the summarization. And again, it uses its user experience and usability to ensure that the medical professional feels comfortable with it.
Yeah. So Otto aims to give advisors more time to engage with clients. What feedback have you received regarding this impact on client satisfaction and engagement?
Yeah, it's interesting because for us, we have two clients, right? We have the advisors and the client. We want them to be happy, and then we have the end clients. Looking at the advisor first, I think whether you understand the technology or not, if you can see something that's really easy to use, easy to set up as well, like we don't have like very complicated integrations, it can be done like really quickly on a phone call. And then you say, oh, wow, I can actually save an hour of my time. I mean, time is the most precious commodity, right? Everybody has. So that's been great in terms of like immediately seeing the utility. And I think we're backed by Sequoia, right? We have a huge vision of what we're building. We see ourselves being like this new kind of multi-decade company that is helping to move wealth management into its next era. But to do that, you need to provide instant utility to our advisors that use the platform today. Like that is absolutely critical as well. And then we can all go on this kind of journey together. So within that, we are able to provide this utility, and we provide a lot of smaller things. For example, like visibility of your client status, like not having to share a spreadsheet with 6 different people to be able to track when an annual client review is done. These are kind of basic things, right? That are missing in the industry. In terms of the end client, again, like there's a short-term benefit and there's ultimately a longer-term macro benefit. The short-term benefit is that you get really nice, sort of succinct client comms that are sent very timely after your meeting. You have this end client portal where you're like, wow, find me a wealth manager where I feel like, a Bank of Revolut and my wealth management platform feels like on par with that in terms of experience. Longer term, though, the impact is going to be profound because by using better technology, you're able to decrease the cost of these wealth managers, which means they can decrease the threshold of the investable asset threshold so they can help more people. They can serve more people at a lower cost, which is also what we need, right, to close the advice gap.
Yeah, definitely. Because I think when you are in your day-to-day so used to just being able to access your app and see everything, and also it looks so streamlined and pretty as well and not clunky, I think that is also really important.
Completely. But it's also like the so what? I think banking has got to a great place where you log on to an account and you don't just see your balance, but you see your so what, like how you're trending over time, like are you spending more than you earn, or you're used to
those notifications do help. I like to see, you spent less this month than last month. I'm like, good, I did a good job.
Exactly. Or just like a list of your subscriptions, kind of, that help. We don't have that yet in wealth management, and I'm actually really excited about what AI can do because there's a ton of kind of like projects that we're working on now that will be released probably in Q1 around data extraction, data analysis, graphing. It's going to become a lot easier to provide really rich insights And
Mm-hmm.
insight is what matters, right? Because like your valuation today, you're like, okay, well, is that good? Is that bad? What does that
Yeah.
mean for me in 10 years? Can I buy a house? Can I retire?
Yeah.
That matters. Like it's kind of irrelevant. Like, oh, I've got 0.3% of my holdings in this random ETF. Like that doesn't tell me anything.
Yeah.
All about crafting that story. And that is absolutely critical for the wealth manager, right? Because it's part of providing the service of what
Mm-hmm.
and justifying the fees is helping to like deliver that narrative of the so what.
Yeah. And off the back of that, I just wanted to mention that we had a panel at MMI Leads, and I think you did a really good job of turning someone who was he loves technology, but also is quite a skeptic when it comes to how AI can be
You can
integrated.
tell.
Yeah. So what is your approach when you come across, advisors or other people within the industry that might be skeptical about how this will like line up with their everyday processes?
Yeah, I mean, firstly, I completely understand. I think it's really tough for advisors because their vocation and their mindset, their passion is around financial advice and investing and personal finance and tax optimization. Like that is what they should be chatting about at lunch, right?
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, to do that, they need to have really good technology. And so they become almost like a mini CTO, which is a completely different skill set. And it's also a complete vocation within itself because technology changes so rapidly. And then on top of that, you have all the cumbersome regulations. So I completely understand why they're kind of like, technology is a pain. It's a problem that they have to solve. They have to do it right because they know it's going to impact them materially. But
Mm-hmm.
it isn't their passion. It isn't their natural interest, nor should it be. So I completely understand why they are, not like proactively loving to explore new technology. And how I tackle that and how I combat that is one, I think you've got to be extremely real in the way that you communicate. Like you've got to come in and say, we do these three tangible things. If you do this per week, you're going to save X hours. Like making, it's like I said earlier, instant utility, like making it very easy to onboard and to use.
Mm-hmm.
Those are ways that I think you can get around it. But it's amazing because if you do use the products and you can see the time saving or the better experience, then advisors instantly like it. I think also they're used to using really poorly designed, outdated, clunky technology. And so when you go to a fresh platform that's been designed to have great usability, that in itself is a joy.
Yeah.
That's the savings that you can get them. I think it's also, let's be real about where we can, like, what are the low hanging fruits that we can use technology now? And let's start with those and let's go on a journey together before we get to like automatic portfolio rebalancing based off the outcome of a call. Let's start small, get that kind of embedded, and then grow from there.
Yeah. And AI in itself is also constantly evolving. I think there was some discussion about at some point in the next few years, it will no longer need human correction because it'll be that good. So, how does Otto keep pace with advancements to ensure it meets advisors' needs effectively?
Yeah, I mean, with that, first of all, we have an incredible tech team that's been like a big focus for us. We are backed by Sequoia Capital, which means we have truly the most insane connections and relationship with all of the AI companies in Silicon Valley. And they are our advisors, they're on our board. I'm going to the Sequoia New York office next week for a AI kind of working session with them as well. So obviously in Silicon Valley, it is more advanced. The nice thing about that is the applications are very practical. So a lot of the learnings we get are not just about the technology, but where it's best used, what to watch out for, how to think about usability, how to think about engagement and onboarding and the journey of like products and what they can take. So there's so many learnings we can get from them, plus access to incredible tech talent resources.
Yeah. So obviously we talked a little bit about compliance earlier. So compliance is critical in financial services. It's a massive strain on some people, but also a benefit for the end client user. So how does Otto navigate these requirements while providing effective and efficient automation?
Yeah, hugely. I mean, compliance is the absolute priority. And I mean, having worked at Fidelity for so long, it was amazing actually working there, the product teams, because we had, and every sprint, we had a compliance officer as part of the product squad, which is great because it means you can iterate, you can work with them, and it's just embedded within the product. So that's the way that we think about compliance at Otto too. What I think is interesting is using this technology when you have better data on your clients, more visibility on what's going on with them, is easier to provide better compliance. One thing that we do, for example, with Otto, because we track and we host and manage all client interactions from a consumer duty perspective, we can very easily say, okay, advisor, with this client the last year, you spoke to them 3 times. Here's what you spoke to them about. You emailed them 4 times. Here are the emails. They clicked on the emails. We can even track them opening documents, opening emails. So there's a lot of visibility into something that's actually will take a long time to be able to understand and improve if you didn't have a great kind of system to track this all. So I take, from a product perspective, I take compliance as a requirement and a challenge, and actually build the product with that in mind. It becomes much easier.
Yeah, definitely. And what insights has Otto gathered from its interactions with advisors? How has this feedback influenced its features and any future direction you might be thinking of going in?
Yeah, I mean, both a micro and macro perspective, we talk with advisors all the time. We are always getting their feedback on the product, but also understanding what they want from the product. And I always say to them, like, if you had a magic wand, what would you want?
Yeah.
The technology stack. Advisors are very consistent. Like, they just want to talk with their clients. They want to provide a great experience for their clients. And so it's our job to enable that. And like I said, that comes in a micro form. So, for example, we have with our report generation, advisors have requested that they have the ability for their clients to effectively like give a red receipt to them. So they requested that, we built it, we added it, we deployed it. Super easy, everybody's happy.
Yeah.
Really great product. Longer term, though, it's more challenging because I think we are helping to evolve the wealth stack and what it could be. And advisors rightly are just constrained by what they already have. I actually think it's our job at Otto to kind of, and other companies doing similar things, to think of what it could be, knowing their requirements, and then build this journey where you sort of evolve and change how advisors can operate.
Mm-hmm.
Some advisors, right, still have fax machines. Some still have lots of in-person meetings, so they have to take audio recorders with them. There's a lot that can be done right to help like optimize those processes.
For sure. And you mentioned being backed by Sequoia. What is the significance of that exactly? And how has this partnership supported Otto's mission? And what implications could it have for your future?
Yeah, I mean, Sequoia is one of the most prevalent, prestigious venture cap companies that have ever existed, right? They've backed like world-defining companies. They backed Nvidia, Reddit, YouTube, Apple, Dropbox, Airbnb, like it just PayPal, like it just went on, right? And it creates this ecosystem and community of people and knowledge that know how to build companies. They are not interested in companies that are quick wins, that are, going to generate loads of revenues for 2-3 years and die. They want to create generational, profound companies that are going to directly change an industry. So they have such, I mean, the Sequoia tree, I think, is a perfect analogy of who they are, like this sort of large, stable, everlasting kind of ethos. Everything that they do extremely well, and they really nurture the companies that they invest in.
Yeah.
for us, that means that we, like I said, have access to this incredible network of people that have done similar things to us. For example, I mean, when I'm in New York, I'm meeting the Harvey team, the Maven team, like other like Sequoia portfolio companies in comparable industries to learn from them. I mean, that's just incredible. And what it means for us is we have this incredible backing, we have this incredible development power, and we have partners that will help us to create this like legacy multi-decade company that's really going to make profound change. Our ambition isn't just to create a company for 3 years and then sell it to somebody else and it's just like another tool in the space. So we have a different mindset. Part of that also, honestly, is the American factor. When you go to Silicon Valley and you work with these investors, they have, and it's very un-British, they have such a different perspective on ambition and on the scale of ambition. And they kind of validate it and make it okay to have these more grandiose visions, right? Which might seem a bit abstract, but I mean, it's come to life. Look at SpaceX, it's one of their companies. And I'm not saying Otto is going to be like that, but what I'm saying is, as a company, we do have this really big mission and vision. And that is absolutely critical to have that energy, because this is also, it's a heavy regulated space. There's a lot of incumbent technology. And, it's a difficult journey. So we are very clear on like what we want to create. And like the absolute focus is like on the advisor and enabling them to have like better technology. And then the kind of societal impact that will have.
Yeah. And since you mentioned that, you're not going to be selling up in anytime soon, where do you see and where do you envision Otto being in the next 5 years? Are there any new features or areas of automation on the horizon for advisors, or any other special features that you might want to mention? You don't have to.
100%. The goal for Otto in 5 years' time is that advisors log on in the morning and they open Otto, and that's all they need to open for the day. It doesn't mean that we're going to do everything, right? That's not the goal either. There's some incredible solutions that do specific use cases extremely well. But advisors need kind of this orchestration platform to bring all these disparate tools together, all these disparate sources of information together, from the platforms to risk tooling to paper, all into one place, and then automation of workflow. I want advisors that use Otto, one, to have a very clear digital experience that is easy that they enjoy, but I want them to feel almost like the captain of the ship, and they're validating, approving things, dealing with issues that arise, mainly speaking with their clients, right? As opposed to spending an hour and a half typing up meeting notes, or spending 6 hours compiling an annual review report from hundreds of pages of PDF documents that they have to go through.
Yeah. That all seems like something that is a no-brainer, and a future that we'd all want to live in. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. But thank you so much for speaking with me today, Maddie. This was a really insightful conversation.
Thanks so much. It's great to be here. I love the event, both in London and Leeds. The panel in Leeds was really fun.
Yeah, it was. I had a great time.
We had some good debates and healthy debates. And I love the dose of like realism. It's absolutely like, this is the biggest thing with any product. It does not matter what technology is powering it. What matters is like, does it help advisors that suit them? Can they use it today? And then you can go on a journey. Yeah,
definitely. But yeah, thank you for joining me for this conversation.
So thank you. Great to see you.
Thank you for listening to In Conversation With. We do hope that you enjoyed it. Please do keep up to date with all our new releases via Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere else you get your podcasts from. You can also keep up to date with all our new content published on the Money Marketing website, as well as our print edition Money Marketing magazine. So make sure to subscribe. Follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. See you next time.